What's going on, House Divided followers? Man, we are down to less than 2 weeks into the season. I don't know about y'all. I'm ready to talk ball. Let's break down the roster. Let's see where we're at going into our opener versus New Mexico. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Stick with us. We're going to be back here in a big way this coming football season. Make sure you stay tuned. Big news coming for the big college football show. You know what we were doing on Saturdays leading into games. So stick with us. Make sure you follow us, subscribe, and stay tuned because we got some good stuff coming. First and foremost, so we can get the most flashy part of the off season out of the way first. What everybody would like to talk about is the quarterbacks. Bryce Underwood has, I guess, at least so far, lived up to the bill of being the high-end talent, a guy that really sticks out in terms of his physical attributes for a guy that's that young. 6'4", 6'5", almost 230 as a freshman. It's like a gift from the football guys, to quote Coach Harbaugh. It's not often that you see guys that are that physically developed walking in the door. Really does do a lot to kind of bridge the gap into where he is mentally, kind of grasping the playbook and getting used to leading the guys and things like that. And also, it seems like a lot of the times when they're talking about Bryce, they are talking a lot about how he has command, how he has control. Guys gravitate towards him. He's able to lead. Those are the type of things you want to be comfortable with leading a freshman onto the field as a starting quarterback, if that's the way it's going. All of that's positive. I think the one little window you might have peeked into what he maybe still needs room to grow on, or time to kind of smoothing out. I don't even know if he meant to say this, but in one of the latest press conferences from Sharon Moore, they kind of ask him in a roundabout way, well, what does Bryce need to do to lock down a job? Like, what does he need to beat out the other guys? And Sharon goes back to consistency, right? Like, are you just a flash in the pan? Are you just a big play guy? Do you make big plays every other day? You know what I'm saying? Like, having a level enough performance where the team is able to depend on you. And that's a roundabout answer. He's not a word for word, but that's essentially what he said, right? Having a level of consistency that carries you through to be able to lead the team. And so if I can surmise any of that outside of the coach speak, is that it's still not, at least to the date that he said it, not at a point where you feel like he's far and away the leader in terms of how consistently they're all performing. Now, that being said, that young of a guy, that physical profile, the talent he is, if it's close, I tend to lean to go with the younger guy. He has the longer ramp up, better chance of him developing over the course of a season than a guy who's, had multiple off seasons. And then some of the veteran guys we have on the roster now, Jake Garcia being added in the last couple of weeks. Of course, Mikey King getting healthy. But it seems as though most of this offseason snaps have been taken has been Jaden Davis and Bryce Underwood. For one, I understand why they added the quarterback depth. I am not hanging on pins and needles hoping that Mikey King gets super healthy so he can start. It's like, I'm not. The guys who have taken the most snaps this offseason should probably be the guys that have an opportunity to win the starting job, and then that we ultimately roll out in that first game in the opener. So, right now, quarterback wise, I think those are the only names that we've seen in off-season clips. Those are the only two names that have really been mentioned in terms of how much influence they've had on the off-season, working out with the guys, leading the teams and such. So, right now, it feels like Bryce is in the catbird seat, and probably Jaden Davis at second. I know a lot of people are leaning Mikey Keene. I'm not positive that man's healthy. I'm not convinced that if game started today that he would even be in the top two consideration, because again, we're still getting some of that coach speak of he's ramping up, he's doing good in walkthroughs, and it's like, well, camp's been underway for a while now. If it's only walkthroughs that we're able to actually shine in, then we're probably not doing much else. We're probably not taking a whole bunch of snaps with the starters. So that's where I'm at with that. Moving on to running back, probably the most exciting position on the offense for me. Outside of the obvious, I mean, everybody wants to talk about quarterback, but in terms of how much they're going to be leaned on this season, in terms of the amount of talent in the room, the amount of diversity and talent in the room too, man. You've got Jordan Marshall, you got Justice Haynes, you got Micah Kayapana, Jasper Parker is still there, Donovan Johnson is still in that room. Then they added a bunch of guys or a couple of guys in the portal as well. Really looking at the top of that bill though, with Haynes and Marshall, you are really looking at two alpha number one backs who could be starting anywhere else in the Big Ten for the most part, and they're in the same backfield. That is a decided advantage that is going to trigger a gross reaction from defenses. That is the type of elite skill that warrants attention, that it warrants film study and scheme adjustments. So I am so excited to see both of those guys tote the rock, regardless of who gets the first carry. I don't think it's going to matter. I think they're both going to eat enough to really be able to perform well. I think any game where Michigan hasn't run the ball at least 35 times, either A, we just had the decided advantage on the outside, the passing game was going, and so they just leaned on it, or we are facing probably one of the best defenses in the conference, because I don't really see any reason with what we have in the backfield combined with what we have up front, which will be my next stop here. I don't see there really being any real reason not to lean into Jordan Marshall and Justice Haynes. Even a guy like Micah Kayapana, who gives you a different type of skill set, right? A little bit of a speedier back. Working him into the offense, he will have his opportunities to kind of offset from what those other guys do well and come in and make an impact. So making yourselves very attractive to prospective running backs coming up the ranks, which Michigan probably should have always been, and only now here over the last several years creeping in. Well, I mean, you still have Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, but the days of losing out on certain high-end running backs just for the namesake of it being Michigan, I think are over. Especially when you're able to stack a room like this and still have the perspective, pipeline down the road with recruiting going the way it's going. So very, very high on the running backs this year. Moving on to the offensive line. So some familiar faces and some new additions to kind of bolster the room. I think starting in the middle, of course, Crippen is finally going to get his time to be the guy, the only guy, right? And really solidify that center role. He's had times where he's had to play behind other more talented guys, the Drake Nugents and the Oluwatimis, and when you got that caliber of center being brought in to play, I think most guys transfer, and so I'm proud to see that Cripp stuck it out, because again, like I said, a lot of guys leave. I feel confident with him in there. I feel confident with him getting the other guys lined up. I think the further you start to branch out is where the confidence starts to wane just a bit. But in the middle, you got Crippen on one side, you got Giovanni El-Hadi, who seemed to have really locked down his position there at the left guard spot, and then on the right, sounds like you got a little bit of a competition between Nathan Afobe, Lawrence Attar. I don't know if I heard Brady Norton's name in there as well when Sharon was talking, Sharon and Chip. But seems like there's a bit of a scrum for who's going to be the guy. My money is probably on Afobe week one, with maybe a slight puncher's chance to Attar. I don't know because when I saw Brady Norton, he didn't look. I saw him at the spring game. He didn't look terribly outmatched, with his size. He looked like he was maybe a little bit closer to 300 than 270, what he was listed at when he transferred here. But in terms of who's going to get the nod week one, because again, week two we got to go down to Norman and play those guys, and they've got some pretty good skill along the defensive line. I'm thinking of Phobie and Attar will probably be the shortened rotation there by the time we're going down, which would put you at Crippen, El Hadi, and a Phobie at both guards. At right tackle, surprise of the back half of the season last year with Andrew Sprague. Really excited to see that guy play, man. A mountain. Again, another guy you've seen at the spring game, just towering over guys. Really excited to be able to see us run behind a guy like that. We've had some athletic guards, athletic tackles, some guys who could get out on the edge. It's been a while since we've had those monsters. Andrew Sprague is one of those monsters, a 6'8", well over 300-pounder who played well at the back half of last season. So wanted them to give him a little bit of shot at left, but I guess we're going to figure that out, and that's the last spot to consider here with Evan Link pulling up as the incumbent, as the favorite going into the start of the season. Now, what's interesting with the left tackle spot is that you've also heard a couple young guys' names, and Blake Frazier, and also true freshman Andrew Babaloa. Babaloa intrigues me that his name is even being mentioned. For how I envision it is Link maybe takes a good enough step that we can pass protect competently. Maybe he's not an All-American. Maybe he's not even a first team All-Conference. Can you play Big Ten honorable mention level just on a purely pass blocking stance? Because I think Evan Link showed good signs of being able to leverage and use his sheer size in the running game. He's pretty good at that, right? That's his strong suit. Michigan is very obviously going to run the ball this year in a lot of different ways. So that tends to lean to a strength. Where he got in trouble is when we were forced to drop back in obvious pass situations. He wasn't as strongest. So if he can get back to an average level of play in that regard, right? Or slightly just a pinch above average, like just get good. You ain't got to be great. You don't have to be elite. Just get good at pass protection. I think we got something good there. And maybe we use Babaloa as the plus offensive lineman, the third or fourth tight end, the Trente Jones kind of role for him in his first year, which gets him on the field, gets him playing experience, and it utilizes another weapon that we have on our offense. The only thing that kind of scares me is starting a Blake Frazier or Andrew Babaloa out the gate means that then what are we really using Evan Link for? I don't like our depth. If we're starting a freshman out the gate, it feels a little bit more natural to me that Evan Link takes a step. He matures a bit, gets a little bit better. We still have talented guys behind him, so that even if that his step that he's made is not enough, we got talented guys behind him that we can try as well. That feels a little safer to me than just rolling the true frosh out there and saying, yeah, protect Bryce Underwood. Us offensive line. Moving on to the Stallions on the outside, man. I think we got something in Donovan McCulley if they telling the truth. If they telling us the truth, we might have something in Donovan McCulley. He seems very confident. The team seems very confident about him. Everybody on the offensive staff pretty much has talked about Donovan McCulley and his arrival, from Ron Bellamy to Chip Lindsey and, of course, Sharon Moore. I think we have a leader, a bona fide leader in the wide receiver room, right? Like, this kind of what was missing last year. We haven't had the guys who are racking up all of the statistics on the outside, but we have had good team leaders in the wide receiver room in the past, right? You've had guys like Ronnie Bell, you've had guys like Cornelius Johnson, you had guys like Roman Wilson. Like, those guys are driving forces of what we do on offense, whether or not they're the ones putting up the yardage or not. Those guys are going down and stick their face mask in the DB's chest so that we can break a long run for 50 yards. We don't have any more explosive runs. Our explosive runs. Well, you got to block on the outside for explosive runs. So those type of figures, I think, are starting to kind of spear their heads back up in the Michigan wide receiver room. Donovan McCulley being the elder statesman, being the guy who's had some true production in the college ranks at a Big Ten level, at Indiana. Also, some young guys making some noise. Which is a welcomed sight in addition for the Michigan wide receiver corps. Shout out to Andrew Marsh. Shout out to Jamar Browder. Both of those guys sounding like they're going to get some run this year. I even heard Jacob Washington his name getting some mentions here through fall camp. So shout out to all those guys. I'm very excited to see them roll out there and see if we can, get our version of a Ryan Williams or whatever homeboy's name is down the street at Ohio State. Put some respect on my name. Put some respect on my name. Yeah. Well, I want some of that impact freshman wide receiver love. So I'd love to see Marsh or Browder break out in that regard. I think a guy who has kind of been forgotten, who may surprise people out the gate, is Kendrick Bell. He didn't compete in the spring game, I don't believe. I think he was hurt, and just kind of quietly showed that he could be an option at the end of last season, right? If we did have something going in the passing game, it was only ever going to tight ends, Samaj Morgan or Kendrick Bell. And, it didn't look great. It didn't make us feel good as fans, but hopefully a guy like Kendrick Bell can draw enough out of that type of season to mature off of it, to take the next step, to be a factor into the offense. We talked about things that we were lacking in the offseason on the wide receiver side, size being one of them. So you definitely see an instant, focus on that with Browder, with McCulley. Obviously Kendrick Bell coming back, he's 6'3". Jacob Washington, I think, goes 6'2". So bigger guys, younger, but bigger guys. Samaj Morgan is obviously going to need to be one of those leaders that we were talking about, right? One of those guys that drives the mood on offense, who sets the tone. Going to need that from him this year, right? And it's not just going to be with this. We're going to have to see a whole lot more production from Samaj if we're going to be successful. So, and which I think he's ready for it. I think he's prepared. One thing we know is they can't get any worse QB performance wise. So at least we'll have that. I think that's all the position groups on offense. We can slide on over to defense. Don't let me do the tight ends like that. Shout out to Hogan Hansen. Shout out to Marlon Klein. Should be difference makers. The room is deep. Got a lot of guys in there who are going to be trying to prove themselves. You got Deacon Tony Yelly, who's kind of getting up there. Zach Marshall, who's getting up there. Even guys like Brady Prescorn, who are very highly touted, who want to kind of make an impact, want to pop out there. So a lot of names in the tight end room. Obviously, Klein and Hansen are going to be leading the way most of the time. And then Bredesen getting in there as an H-back. Be good to see those guys in action again, but not much competition-wise. I don't think. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Quick reminder in there. Make sure you tune into us on Saturdays. We are going to have a little bit of change to the college football show, but I think it'll be welcomed by everybody who tuned into us last season. Got some exciting updates, man. I can't wait to unravel that for you. Make sure you kick it with us on Saturday mornings before you get your college football feel. Defense wise, let's start with defensive line. I mean, that's the deepest position group I think on the team. 10, maybe 12 guys that you can play off the defensive line. Rayshon Benny, Damon Williams, Trey Pierce, Trey Williams, Eno Etta, Ike Awana is still in there. I mean, they've got so many 300-pounders now. It's like we were going to this 3-4-S defense all of a sudden, this NFL-style defense all of a sudden. I'm like, well, man, where are we going to fill out the defensive line? Man, we've been playing this Viper shit with Don Brown all these years. We got these short, fast defensive linemen. And I mean, they have, within a 4-year span at Michigan, they have completely transformed the trenches. If it wasn't in an SEC school, like if you could just take the name off the roster and just show the measurables of the defensive line outside of Alabama, Georgia, maybe Tennessee and Florida, you're just not going to see that many 300-pounders, and names that that can play too, right? And we haven't even really talked about the edge guys. I haven't talked about a Derek Moore yet. I haven't talked about a TJ guy. I haven't talked about a Cam Brandt. I haven't talked about Dominic Nichols. Just a lot. They got a lot. Freshman wise, Nate Marshall getting some mention. That's scary. They already have all of those edge guys that you're pushing up. Okay, so we're going to be starting with Derek Moore and TJ Guy. Your second platoon will probably be Cam Brandt and Dominic Nichols. But oh, wait, we got a phenom freshman who can't be redshirted or put to the back, and he's going to be getting some burn too. They're moving Cole Sullivan around. He's playing Will, he's playing Sam, he's playing Edge. He's everywhere. Cole Sullivan is going to be a heat-seeking missile. When y'all see Cole Sullivan in the game, y'all better be on alert. I'm talking about a guy who pops off screen in like scrimmage or spring game type situations. 2 times. Seen him once on TV, seen him once in person at the big house. Guy pops. He pops. He's an explosive athlete. I think they're just trying to find a place to play him right now. The linebacker room is a little bit jammed. The edge position is a little bit jammed. So just get him on the field in any way, in any capacity, truly. Lugert Adepaye, Devin Baxter, we'd love to see another one of them. But I mean, it's only so many snaps. To go around. Let's move on to the linebackers, man. Linebackers are going to be strong this year. Linebackers going to be strong. They should be leaders. We shouldn't have that first 4-game stint that we had with our linebackers was a little rough. Getting Jay Sean in position to make plays. Ernest wasn't having the strongest showing there early. I think they switched. I think Ernie started running more Mike. They put Jay Sean to the weak side and also let him come off the edge a little bit, and things got better. I think we followed that formula. We let Ernie lead, let him get everybody set, let Jay Sean run free, let him be the wild card. It sounds like they got pretty strong depth behind. We already know about Jimmy Roller. We know that guy is solid when he's healthy. Again, Cole Sullivan playing in the middle as well as Edge and Sam. Young guys. Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng making a name for himself. Chase Taylor making a name for himself. We got real linebacker depth, right? Guys who can play at the top. We got young, talented guys behind them. But in the middle, you got guys there who've just kind of been around for a few years who are looking to get a better opportunity. And so I like that situation up and down. I like young guys learning from seasoned vets. I like having somebody with motivation behind the starters, right? Somebody who has something to push those starters for so that they can't take a week off. They can't play lackadaisical. They can't rest on their laurels. I like that. Shout out to the linebackers there. Brian Jean-Marie putting that room together. On the outside, Suge is our mainstay. He's the one who's gotten most of the mention in this offseason. Shamari Earls getting a lot of look. Got another Will Johnson on our hands, maybe? The thing that impresses me about Shamari Earls is the same thing that impressed me about Bryce Underwood. Big kid to be walking into a program just around 200 pounds, 6'2", and can run. Fluid athlete. That's dangerous. That is dangerous. He goes through this season and impresses and is able to play on the outside. Somebody might be wearing a deuce next season. I don't know. Maybe I'm putting the cart before the horse, but definitely impressed for what we're hearing about him. But there are other candidates to play alongside Suge. Josiah Edmond made some good plays this spring. I'm not sure how things have shaken out over the fall camp, over the summer, going into camp. But seemed pretty even. Zeke Berry still working at corner a little bit. If Zeke's going to play corner permanently, then Zeke would probably be my boundary corner. And I would have Suge play the opposite, and then my first man off the bench would be Shamari Earls. If Zeke's going to be floating all over the defense, I'll play corner this game, I'll play nickel this game, I push Shamari out there. Let him get the snaps. and then you rotate in Zeke as need be, right? If things are getting a little bit too big, kind of how you did last year, right? If you need them, you need them. That brings me to nickel, which seems to be an absolute crapshoot. I have the slightest bit of understanding who it could be. Zeke Berry's been practicing there. Jaden Mangum's been practicing there. TJ Metcalf's been practicing there. They've been putting Mason Curtis in the box as a big nickel, what they did with Makari Page last year, which I'm a fan of. I'm actually a fan of that. And if they do it, because it essentially gives you an athletic linebacker to add to the box who can cover receivers. That shit excites me when they talk about TJ Metcalf or Mason Curtis playing there in the nickel. I also really like Jaden Mangum. People forgot about Jaden Mangum. He was a freshman All-American at Michigan State. Missed all of last year due to injury. Jaden Mangum is very impressive. Here's how I would lay out the safeties, and we have so many candidates, the safety and the nickel, from all those I just named: Zeke Berry, TJ Metcalf, Jaden Mangum, Mason Curtis, Rod Moore whenever he gets back. Brandon Hillman would be my strong. Free Mangum. Eventually I would like it to be Moore, but I think we're too close to the season. I don't think Moore is going to be able to start the season. So Mangum or Curtis, and whichever one of them doesn't start. No, because we still got Metcalf. Damn. I would go Mangum or Curtis at free. Give me Metcalf at nickel to put him into action. Put him in the fight. I like Metcalf at one of the deeper safeties. I would rather have him or Mason Curtis in the box, though. I like the idea of having that versatile swing player in the box to blitz, to play man, to play zone, right? Like he could drop back to a deep quarter and you'd never see it coming because he could play so low in the box and just track his way back. So you could present a 4-4 look and never really come out of it, because you don't have to, because you got an athlete on the field who could run with anybody they would put in that position. So I'm definitely a fan of the big nickel. Shout out to Wink for figuring that out late last season to really turn Makari's season around, to really make him a more effective player in the back half of that season. So shout out to that, man. Definitely am excited for the season. Can't wait till kickoff. Can't wait to see the guys go out there and smash, as we always do. Make sure you tell me what you thought about the roster breakdown there. Let me know what I messed up on. If you had a different opinion, if you heard it differently, if you see it differently, let us know in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe as always. We'll be back with another one.